Understanding the difference between flexibility and mobility is confusing. So in this video, I'm gonna break it down in a simple way that you can understand, and I'll show you a demonstration of each so that way you can have a visual of what I'm talking about. But first, think about it like this. Flexibility is the amount of range of motion that you can access while using an outside source to help get you there. So sometimes that outside source can be another person, or it can be a strap, or it can be yourself by pulling yourself deeper into a stretch. Usually we can access more range of motion doing a static stretch using our flexibility than we can during mobility. So if you're doing a hamstring stretch and somebody's pushing you deeper into that stretch, you're probably going to get better range of motion than if you weren't having that outside source assist you. Mobility is the amount of range of motion that you can access using your muscles. Basically, you're using your muscles to pull yourself deeper into a stretch. Like I said, with flexibility, you're probably going to be able to access more range of motion because you're pulling yourself deeper into a stretch or somebody is pushing you deeper into a stretch, as opposed to mobility where you're using your muscles to get yourself more range of motion. You can think of it like this. If I reach my leg out in front of me and I lift it as high as I can, this is my mobility. Now, if I use my hand to pull myself up higher, this is my flexibility. So obviously my flexibility is more range of motion than my mobility. So right now with my hand, I'm stretching my hamstring to get my leg higher. But when I let go with my hand, my hip flexor is the muscle that's activated to increase my range of motion. So you're gonna have better range of motion with flexibility than you are with mobility. But that doesn't mean that flexibility is better. The reason that I like mobility better is because it's actually teaching your muscles how to be strong and active at that range of motion. As opposed to when you do flexibility, of course you can get deeper into a stretch or more range of motion when somebody's assisting you or when you're pulling yourself deeper. But how functional is that range of motion if your muscles don't know how to get you there and keep you there? And that's why I love mobility. I think they both have a purpose, but a lot of times people focus a lot more on flexibility and less on mobility. So for beginners, flexibility is great. You want to get some basic stretching in, it's going to help improve your range of motion. But once you get a little bit more advanced, even intermediate, you want to teach your muscles how to be strong and active in a given range of motion. You want to be able to get into that range of motion and stay in that range of motion. So now I'm going to show you a couple of more examples on what I'm talking about. Now I'm going to use the same exercise that I did while I was standing, but I'm going to be doing it laying on my back. You can do this yourself for a little bit of a test. You're going to notice that your flexibility is probably going to give you more range of motion than your mobility. You can use a strap like I'm using, or you can even use a belt or even a necktie if you have something like that laying around your house and you don't have a strap. So first things first, we're going to lie on your back, reach your right leg up towards the ceiling, try to keep it as straight as possible. Now I'm going to use the muscles in my quad and my hip flexor to pull my leg towards me and try to get my thigh as close to my chest as possible. So this is my mobility. I'm using my muscles to get more range of motion. It's a pretty decent range of motion, but when I use an outside source like the strap and my hands to pull myself deeper, I'm getting more range of motion. So this is a stretch, this is my flexibility. I feel a stretch in my hamstring, and then when I let go of this, now I'm using my quad strength and my hip flexor strength to get my leg into that same range of motion or a little bit less range of motion. So this is my mobility, this is my flexibility, and this is the difference. I'm using an outside source, I'm using my muscles. You're gonna feel a different sensation with each. Like I said, when I'm doing the flexibility, I feel a stretch in my hamstring. When I'm doing the mobility, I feel my hip flexor and quad light up because the opposite muscle that you're trying to stretch is the muscle that's active. So there you have it, flexibility, mobility.